Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
So many faces. You're all tiny.
Hello.
Bonjour, Autumn.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, it's great to see so many of you joining for the first Dim Mak Deadly Kata workshop class. Not really a workshop. Who have we got? Olga. How's it going? And who else have we got in here? All the regulars. Greg's here. Welcome, Greg.
How do you, Larry?
Welcome, Mike. Got two Americans with us. Anna made it.
Hello.
Good evening.
I hear Fink.
And Esther's back.
I can't hear Fink.
Good to see you again, Esther.
Good to be back. Oh, okay.
And someone's training on the beach. Fantastic. Looks like a lovely spot you're at. Oh, look, Linda's here. You met Linda, didn't you?
Yeah, hello, Linda.
Hey there.
How's it going, Linda?
Oh, it's amazing. I just got done with a conference I put on over the weekend.
Fantastic. It's great to see you.
It's good to see you all.
Yeah. All right. What have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15,
17.
6 or 17, including me. Well, Fran's a
Yeah.
student, so 17 students. And Autumn's there looking in the background, so let's call it 18, shall we? All right, well, welcome all to the first lesson of the Deadly Kata's classes. I'll jump up now and we'll give a little talk, we'll do a little warm-up and we'll get into training. All right. So, as you know, this is going to be the first of the Deadly Kata's classes. Just a little quick rundown of how these classes are going to go. We'll be doing 2 classes per kata. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all the foundational basics in class 1. And then class 2 will be a recap, some revision, and then moving on to a few more of the additional details. So as to not confuse people. Now, those of you following these classes, if you've never learnt these before, no, I shouldn't say if you've never learnt these before, based on your own level. So if you consider yourself a real beginner in Taiji, in Bagua, or whatever it is you're practicing, you're probably better off focusing on the details I give in class 1, and then obviously the revision of class 2. Now, if you find that the added detail I give in class 2 with the more advanced details, you find, oh yeah, that works fine. If it feels good, you're able to use those body mechanics and it doesn't feel too uncoordinated and too out of place, then sure, give them a go. But generally speaking, if you've been training for a long time, you'd want to put in those extra bits. If you haven't been training for so long, have a little play around with them. But maybe if you're like, oh, hang on, how do I do that? Probably better to stick to the foundational bits. Most of class 2 will probably be more detail and revision because the additional details are not so much to go over in most of these exercises. So yeah, we'll do tonight's class and then next week, and then obviously the third class will be moving on to technique number 2. So it will take us roughly 6 months to get through all 12, and of course we're combining these with the Qi development tool Qigongs, which are also 12, and we're going to be doing those in exactly the same way. Not everyone will do both, but I think most people will be doing both. Okay, let's start off with just getting our body a little bit moving. Whenever you do Qigong, especially when you're learning a new Qigong. Different if you have like a set of Qigong that you know really well, this kind of thing. But when you're learning something new, it's always good to give yourself a little bit of a warm-up first, an energetical warm-up. It's not so much important, you know, it's the end of the day, you probably don't need to, you know, warm up your shoulders. I'm not talking about warm up in terms of so that you don't strain a muscle, that's different. And we're going to be moving quite slowly and controlled tonight anyway, therefore you're not likely to pull a muscle. We're not going to be doing any big, you know, stretchy type movements. But an energetical warm-up will allow you, when you first start the movement, you'll just feel, yeah, okay, I'm kind of already in the zone, just with a bit of blood flowing through your body. So we do a gross overall warm-up to get some heat in the body, some blood in the body. Then we're going to concentrate that heat down into this more detailed Qigong exercise. So just very quickly, just follow me through. What we'll do is I'll give different levels of the warm-ups as we go through. There are some people in here who are young, fit, agile people, other people here who may not be able to do certain squats, certain low postures. So anything I do, please listen to your own body and don't injure yourself. The whole point of a warm-up is to get limber and get loose and feel good about doing a Qigong. So don't drop down into a big low posture if you don't think you can do it. Okay, so we're going to start off with our feet shoulder width and parallel, like so. We're just going to bend the knees slightly. Take the hands out to the sides. Breathe in. Lift the hands right up to the sky, standing onto the balls of the feet, and then pushing your hands down in front of your body. Breathing out as you sink back to your heels. Same again, a small bend in the knees. Breathing in and breathing out. Same again, you're bending the knees, you're hinging forwards a little bit, so your body is sinking down and leaning forwards. Up and breathing out. Now only if you can, if you feel like you're not going to strain anything, take it all the way down into a full squat and all the way back up. If you can't manage that, then just do it like we were doing earlier. Just go down to where it's comfortable for you. It's quite amusing watching Fran do this in front of me because she's trying to throw her arms around and not hit my camera. She's like, going like this with her arms. Okay, to the front. Just sink yourself down into a nice lunge, a lunging sort of a movement like so. Just sinking down into the movement. Just bobbing and swinging around, really. Nothing specific, just move your weight, shift it back and forth, getting a bit of a stretch through that back leg. Notice how the rear ankle is really moving around. It's pushing forward, it's sinking back and stretching. It's just wriggling and moving, just getting it nice and limber, okay? Tucking the pelvis under to give this nice stretch down through the front of the thigh here. Moving and wriggling. Switch that to the other side, exactly the same thing. Just move, open the hips, close the hips, weight forward, weight back, wriggle that rear ankle around, just generally moving your body around. Switch it back to the other side. Now we're going to do the same sort of hand movements we just did. Weight is forward in the lunge, looking up to the sky, so you're leaning backwards slightly, hands up to the top, and then you're going to push your hands straight down to the floor in front of you and place them on the ground, okay? Drop your knee on the ground and then sit back onto your heel, okay? So my bum's going back onto my heel. Then slide your hands back and do the same movement with your hands again. And then bring them back on the out breath, back to where you were. Come forward again and reverse it. Lift your knee, lift your hands, straightening up. Again. Breathing out on the way down. Breathing in as you open up. Breathing out. Breathing in as you come up. Breathing out as you go down. Breathing in as you come up. And out as you come down. Breathing in as you come up. Switch legs and down. Exactly the same thing. Breathing in. Breathing out. Standing up. Keeping the weight forward. Out, breath down. In, breath up. Out, breath down. In, breath up. And out, breath down. Fold both feet behind you. Point your toes back. Sit back on your heels. So you're stretching through the front of the ankles. Just giving a bit of a wriggle on your ankles there. And then just stand up however you feel comfortable to do so. Okay, so Deadly Katas. The Deadly Katas, since it's the first class, a lot of you have practiced some of the Deadly Katas before, but a lot of the people following these classes, it's a fresh thing, they've never heard of them before. So I'll just give a quick little introduction as to what they are in this first class, and then we'll be able to skip that in all the other classes, get straight to training. So the Deadly Katas are a set of 12 technique/qigongs. So they are fighting techniques on the one hand, depending on how you perform them, but the point is they have martial application, as opposed to, you know, some qigongs that we might practice like this. There's no martial application, there's no fighting technique to those type of qigongs. So the Deadly Katas are like the Taiji or Bagua form in the sense that they are techniques for fighting, but depending on how you do them, they can be done as a qigong or as a self-defense tool. Now, technically speaking, anytime we move and we move from our center and we move our energy, we're always doing qigong. Even if we're doing something with a partner, even if we're sparring, you could still get away with calling that qigong. If you're working with your energy, it's qigong. It's just what people wouldn't normally classically call qigong. So what I mean there is, if I'm doing the technique like this, I'm doing it in a classically common qigong manner. Whereas when I'm doing it a bit more like that, well, most people are going to look at that and say, well, hang on, that's not qigong, that's like martial arts, that's kung fu stuff, so that's not qigong. It's all actually qigong, it's just depending on how you're going to do it. As you might have seen in the little advert video that I put out of these forms, their primary purpose is to bring out the yang in your body, okay? So a lot of qigong tends to focus on the yin, on the soft, the gentle, the calming. And I guess that's because a lot of people need that. A lot of people are a bit too yang a lot of the time, but you know, there's a lot of people out there who are also too yin. And in my opinion, a lot of the time, people can be too yang, but trying to get that person to calm down doesn't help them to calm down. Because a lot of the time people they seem too yang, but it's actually because they're too yin. It's because they're weak and insecure on the inside. And it's coming out as rage. So by giving that person more confidence, more strength to their body, they will actually find that balance. So you can be yin in various different ways. You can be yang in various different ways. And there's different tools to fix those things. So anyway, these qigongs, they help us to bring out the yang side of our training. We're going to be learning them in how I'm sort of doing them now. It's It's not slow, like as in super slow, like the Taiji form, but it's not explosive and fast either. I might occasionally, like I've just done now, demonstrate a few of the movements explosively sometimes, so you can get the idea, get the energy. And of course, a lot of you following these videos, you might already be very competent martial artists. I know some of the people following this already are. So you might want to have a go at doing them a little bit more robustly. You might want to train them with a partner. I will show you the applications as well. You can practice them on the bag, things like that as well, to really bring out that yang. But the primary focus of all of these classes is going to be how to bring out the yang, but whilst keeping it slowish. Okay, so that we'll be doing it quick enough that there's like a little bit of momentum behind it, but it's still a relatively slow movement, so it's not an explosive movement. If you try to do something explosively before you're ready for it, meaning that if you do a move like this, and then you try to do it fast and it looks something like that, it's all stiff. You're not doing any good for your body. You're going to cause tension, you're going to pull a muscle, you're not generating any chi, you're actually going to cause imbalances in your body and lots of physical problems by trying to do it like that. So what you have to do is, for those of you who want to try to sort of speed it up and do those more martial energies behind the form, behind each kata, is do it slowly, and then do it a little bit quicker, and gradually, just 10% at a time, build it up. And pay attention and feel what's happening in your body muscularly. What's happening? Can you sort of go, wow, oh yeah, boom, yeah. Do you feel loose? Do you feel bouncy? Do you feel good when you do it? And then you go, okay, oh, yeah, that still felt good. Yeah, that felt good. And then you'll get to a point when you speed up 10%, 10%, 10%, you'll get to a point where it'll start to feel, oh, yeah, no, that didn't feel so good. You strain something, it feels like this tension up in your neck. So you know you've reached your limit. You need to take one step back from that, where it still feels good and flowing, and then work at that for quite some time. And then you'll find that you don't even realize that it's speeding up. If you just say to yourself, I'm going to keep doing it at this speed, just focus on that speed that you're competent at, you're able to do that speed. Gradually with time, you won't even know it yourself, but if you take a video of yourself and then 6 months later you take another video of yourself and you realize, wow, actually, I thought I was doing it at the same speed, but I'm actually moving much faster because it's increased so slowly you haven't really noticed it. And that's the best way to increase your speed and power. Keep in mind, these techniques, from a Qigong point of view, from a slow mover, you might think, oh, it's quite easy. You know what? Moving here, 1, 2, 3. It's not that difficult. They're not that complicated. But from a martial point of view, to get those techniques firing off at a full martial pace, it is a hell of a lot more difficult than just, boom, 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 throwing a few punches. Normal punches are much easier, which is why we focus on those kind of things when we're teaching people self-defense in the beginning. What I'm saying is you might feel confident going boom, boom, throwing, some good punches if they're just simple kind of punches. You might feel really strong and confident in that. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to do these techniques with that same level of flow and precision and power, because they're so much more complicated. The more complicated something is, the longer it's going to take you until you can get to the point where you can do those at that martial pace. All right. At the end of each class, last thing before we start the form, at the end of each class, I will come and sit down in front of my screen again, and if there are any questions from those who are following live, just try to have your questions neat and tidy, because there are quite a lot of people here, so if everyone wants to ask a question, it might take another hour. So if you have a question, yeah, just try to phrase it simply as you can, rather than rambling on, because yeah, there are quite a few people following the live class. Okay, let's give this first technique a go. So I hope you're already feeling a little bit in that yang zone. That's where you should be. You should already be in the yang zone when you want to learn these. That's why I've done that type of a warm-up already with my speech. You can tell I'm already firing myself up, so I hope you're picking up on that. So you're already feeling a little bit on the yang side. You wouldn't want to start now, oh, let's learn the Qi development tool. You're not in the mood for that. You want to be in the right mood. When we do the Qi development tools, I'll do a really calming set of Qigongs to set us up for learning those techniques. Okay, so we're going to start the technique like this. 1 foot forward, like that. We're going to do both of these, both sides. So it doesn't matter which side you start on, just put 1 foot forward. You'll probably find it easier from a learning point of view if you mirror me. Okay, so if I've got my left foot forward, you put your right foot forward and vice versa. Okay, you're going to do them both sides, so it doesn't matter which way you start. Okay, so natural, just a natural fighting stance to begin with. Weight slightly on the back foot, probably about, I don't know, 80%. I'd say I'm actually pretty well sat back in the rear leg. Not like sinking back like this so I can pick the front foot up, but you are back weighted about 80%, 70 to 80%. Hands out in front like that. Okay. The front hand is just a little bit lower than the top hand, than the rear hand, like so. Your hands are just there, just ready to fight. Okay, ready to do this technique like that. So there's nothing super special there. It's just holding your on guard stance, just your ready stance, okay? Like that. Your stance is slightly on that side because that's where we fight from, okay? So you're not standing like this, just standing nice and relaxed, nice and balanced, okay? Now we'll just go through the physical movements first, then we'll go through some more details. All we're going to do is sink the weight down into the back leg. And I'm turning my center towards the front, okay? Taking an in-breath. Now I'm going to throw my first punch on my out-breath and shift the weight forward. Bang. Okay, very simple. Turn to the right. Now that might feel like, oh, but hang on, doesn't that mean I'm loading my punch? Bam. Yeah, like you're going, wah, wah. Change your mindset. This is for the Qigong. You would never pull back like that from a fighting point of view. This is for the Qigong elements, which I'll get into more detail later. So when you do this, don't do it as one movement. Don't go, wah, bang. See, that creates one movement. That's programming my brain to say load and punch. Don't want to do that. Don't want to program my body to have any kind of loading. What I want to do is I want to settle my body. See, there's a stillness before I fire. Wah, bah. See? Do not connect that coiling element and the firing out punching element. If you do so, you're breaking the rules of engagement, okay? You're loading that fist before you punch him, which is not a good idea. So that first move is not part of the technique, you see. It's just settling. So it's like you're like, oh, okay, what's going on? You're just going, I'm sinking even further down into that rear leg to about 90%. Never to the point where I could pick the rear foot up, but really sinking back 90 to 95% in that rear leg. Both palms are facing down slightly. Take an in-breath. I'll go over more about the breathing later. And then I'm going to throw a punch. There. Bring the weight forward, open the center, and turn the fist palm up. Like so. Left hand is here just guarding, okay? Okay, so you're taking a block with that left hand. It's just slightly coming out. Not a block like this, because he's throwing a straight punch. So you're just kind of, letting it go past. Like these moves in your small sansao, things like that, where you're just kind of letting it go over your shoulder. So there's no big blocking action to the movement. There it is. So you're catching something. like so. Sink, settle, nice big in-breath, shoot. Okay. Now that first punch, it's not a straight punch, it's, see what I'm doing with the hand there? Okay, it's almost a straight punch. It's not this, it's not like a big round punch, you're not bringing your hand out to the side. So it's kind of, it's going forward almost like a straight punch, just with an ever so slight curve. But when you hit the target, boom! See how it's got that little curve on the end of it? See that? That's what we're attacking. Boom! Like so. Okay, from there, just turn your center back the other direction and turn your right fist, the fist, the front hand, because you might be using your left one. So I'll say the front hand, the front fist, turn it over and hit that way with a hammer fist. Okay? Boom, like so. Turn your fist over like that. The other hand's just covering now. It's not doing anything specific. So we've got in-breath, out-breath. There's the strike. Notice where the strike is aiming. It's aiming to if the camera's my north, if I'm calling that my north, it's going out to the northeast. So this punch is hitting the north, but with a curve through. So it's not punching over here, it's, you see the power is here, but it curves through. What? The hammer fist coils in and bah! You see? In other words, I'm not going like that. Now I'm hitting 90 degrees to where I was going. The force is going a little bit forward on this technique. 1, 2, you see? When you do that, you put a little bit of weight back in the left leg. So let's say, for an example, you come about 70% forward on that first punch into your front leg. When you do the hammer, you just sit back a little bit to about 60-40. So I'm still front weighted, but there's that little bit of controlling balance back into the rear leg when I do that technique. See that? Look at the weight shift. See, I'm not going like this. I'm not sitting back. But I am slightly, just by the natural turn of my body, a little bit of pressure goes into that back leg as I turn my body. Like so. Okay. And the final technique, you're going to strike with the right hand again. So it's right, 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 left, or top, front, 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 rear. This hand, the hand we start with, punch, punch, palm. Then the lower one comes in as the last resort. Okay. So we get 1, 2. See, I'm loading my waist out to my right. This hand here in front of me is going to drill in like that. See, because the elbow's out naturally for that hammer fist. The elbow's sort of a little bit that way. Okay. So I just open my hand, spiral the hand in, boom, pump it forward. Thumb on top to finish. As soon as that's happened, the other hand, which is up here, so it's already dropping, and you finish like that. So you're essentially doing a double palm strike to finish, but the top hand is leading the movement. So the whole thing looks like this. Okay. Now there is sometimes a step forward with that, but that's only done when you're doing it much quicker. So for tonight's class, we're going to be leaving the feet where they are, just focusing on the weight shifting. At this speed, you're going to take another in-breath. Sometimes people will say traditionally this technique will be done all on an out-breath. So one in-breath and then out, out, out. But it all depends on the speed. Now, if you're doing it at a slightly faster pace, then yes, you go ba, 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 breathe all out. But at this pace, while we're learning it, you're going to breathe out. Little recharge, and then breathe out for your final technique. And you can see there that that final technique is predominantly the hands moving together. It's not like 1, 2 kind of actions. It's together. It's just that this hand's a little bit in front, like you see that? That kind of action. I'm going to try facing this way now, and I'm going to do it on the reverse side so that you'll still be doing it on the same side, just so you can see it from the back, like you're following me in the same direction. So I'll assume you all had your left foot forward, so I'm going to put my left foot forward now. I'm going to do the same technique so you can see it from that angle. Reset. Okay, now let's try it on the other side. So I want you to put your other leg forward. You already know the details of the hand, so I'm going to stay this way. So you're going to do that sweeping punch with the front hand, covering with the back hand. Cover and punch. Swing it back to the hammer. Sit back, open your elbows, and squeeze. Try it again. Stay on that same side. I'm going to face you this time, so you'll be mirroring me now because you've got your right leg forward. Okay, a little bit more detail about the weight shifting. You're going to sink forward. I've already mentioned that you go forward to about 70%. You slightly sit back, just there, bang, as you do the hammer. But that sit back, when you do that hammer, continues back. So there's kind of the first little 10% of that sit back is the active action for that hammer fist, okay? But it doesn't stop, it just continues, but it turns into a passive coiling action. So we get something like this. You get forward, wah, really reach out for it. Now this is a wah, see there's your active movement, but from that movement it just a little bit more soft, a little bit softer. The elbows, you see, well the left, right, so the front hand is already a little bit inwardly spiraled because of that hammer anyway. So it's really the bottom hand which slightly opens up. If I exaggerate, it's like I'm doing this to then squeeze, you see, squeeze the elbows in like so. Like you should be quite familiar with those kind of movements in your Taiji forms, in your Bagua forms. They're very common things, and I think most people here have at least practiced something before. So that's the final thing that happens there. You're going to be going forward, a little bit back. See, now I'm kind of back to where I started, like that sort of 90% back margin. That's what I'm breathing in. Now I breathe out and sink back to about 70% in the front leg for the final move. Let's do that a couple more times. I'll do it facing you again, actually. Actually, let's try it that way. That might help some people. So let's all put our right leg forward. So that'll mean we're sort of a little bit more dominantly facing that way. So you can keep your eye on me there. Try it like that. Time. Let's switch sides. I'll change direction as well so you get the same angle. Now that you've got that gross mechanics of it, I'll just give you a few little details of the hands in close-up so you can see what's going on here. So when you throw that first punch, I've already mentioned it's got that sort of curve to it. You can put a one knuckle on there if you wish. Traditionally, it was taught as a one knuckle, but my advice is, unless you've already learned how to do a one knuckle, don't worry about that for now. So if you can already throw a good one knuckle without thinking about it too much, feel free to put it in there. But you've got enough to worry about without also having to think, hang on, how do I stick that knuckle out? Don't worry about that to begin with. Just do it as a normal punch. Actually, easiest way for me to show you this is with Fran. So, come over this way. So she's chucking a straight punch at me, and I'm simply getting out of the way, okay? The fighting technique's always going to be a bit different than the Qigong. By shifting my weight to my right leg, naturally, my body does shift to that side, but in reality, I'm probably going to take a step as well. It might happen that I don't, but yeah, 9 times out of 10, you are going to take a step there. So she throws that punch. As I say, you're just catching that there. You're not slamming it out of the way or something. And boom! Chucking that through there like so. Now that one can go straight into the eye socket, straight underneath the nose, or just straight across here into the tip of the jaw. That's a really nice shot. It all depends on the angle of her head as to what you're going to hit. The important thing for now, because I'm not going to be focusing on the fighting techniques, because you don't have, probably most people don't have someone to practice and do the methods with. If you want to see a lot of detail on the fighting techniques of how to use them as a fighting technique, I did a workshop recently and I put a video out on it, so you can get those videos where I just talk a lot. That's sort of more focusing on the fighting technique. So if you are interested in that, just if you can have a look on the website, or let me know if you can't find it and you can have a look there. But I will briefly show them. Now, a nice variation of this punch, my personal favorite in terms of the technique, something to visualize. Most people, when they throw that punch, boom, their head's going to be a little turned, you see, like this. It's unlikely they're going to sort of throw it like this with their head facing forward. They're going to swing that punch in and whoa, like that, you see. Their head's going to be turned that way. If that presents itself to you, if you do it like that, boom, look where my punch, as in let your head turn with the movement, yeah, bang. Look where my punch is going to go, boom. Okay, the reason I'm punching with that curve, if you come over here, friend, there's the side of her jaw, right? So we're striking into a point called the mind point, which is just at the back. Bob down a little bit. Thanks, darling. So there's the teeth. Just feel the teeth, where it's all just cheek. There's nothing there but cheek and teeth underneath. But you can feel there. See that little notch? If you put your finger into the teeth and then run it back, you see that? You can dig your finger in there. So if you aim, you simply aim there. Aim at the corner of her mouth. It's a pretty big target. Anywhere from the corner of her mouth to about here, anywhere along that line of her tooth line is gonna make the punch land. But if I punch straight forward, yeah, if you had enough power, you might jar her neck that way and do some damage. You might break her teeth or something. But what we're trying to do is with that curve, whoa, can you feel how that digs in? It gets stuck there because there's that big, you can feel it on yourself. If you just jab your fingers in there and then go, it gets stuck there. There's a big fat muscle there that, you know, opens and closes your jaw. So if ever that presents itself to you and she's got her head turned that way, she's turned front on, well, now I'm just going to have to clip her there, clunk on the side of her jaw, which is also really good because if she's throwing that punch, her body is turning, unless she's punching me like this. So she's probably got her shoulders open. But if she's got her head that way and her shoulders that way, it means her head is already fully rotated. If I hit her head at that point, again with that curve, there's nowhere for it to go, you see? So if her head's facing me, I'm going to go smack straight on the tip of her jaw, which is going to kink her neck that way because there's no give. If your head's in the middle when it gets hit, you can kind of go with it a little bit and not get knocked out. But in this case, she's got no give in her neck. She's not in a stance where she can really give very easily, so she's going to get knocked out. If it's facing the other way, that's where you're going to spiral up. But both of them they both require that curve to the punch. So that's what we're looking at. Now, with both of those punches, you wouldn't be worrying about the one knuckle element of it anyway, and that's my personal favorite. There are some other targets you can hit with the one knuckle, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. So that's the first one, bang. As soon as you've done that, so you're going whack, her head's going back, boom, you just land it straight follow up with the hammer fist coming across. That's why I say it's a forward and across hammer fist, because her head simply isn't going to be here to strike across. You've just punched her in the face, bam, so boom, it's going out towards that front corner with that hammer. Now that hammer, you'd put that anywhere across the side of the neck will do the job, or just in there behind, if I just do it this side for a second, just in there behind the jaw is a lovely place to put more the base of the palm in there like that. But pretty much anywhere along there, you're going to do some pretty decent damage. Finishing up from there, bam, you're coming back with what? Straight into the stomach 9 with that front knife edge. She's already dying. She's already hit her twice. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't drop this hand from a fighting point of view. If I went bam, hit her, maybe as I did this one, she blocks it, which means she's still got a bit of life left in her. Maybe I come here, but I'd keep this hand up, you see. I would never drop this hand because of that if I still felt life in her. But if I've gone whack, I landed it, bang, I can feel her going down, now kaboom. That's going to be your final blow to go through there. And again, that will vary depending on where her body's ended up. But that's why we're moving forwards on that last one, striking her across the neck, either like so, with this region here, if we've ended up in that positioning, or if she's a little bit more turned front on, I can get her in the side of the neck there with the knife edge, and then that bottom hand is just coming straight in there, like that, just into the under the floating rib there, just boom, like there. You're going to crack her ribs through there. Now, from a fighting point of view, of course, what we would have stepped, boom, she's going back, in which case you're probably going to follow her up and step into it. In the Qigong, we're not worrying about that. Thank you, darling. So, a couple extra details just while I'm standing there. There's the curve. Now, the hammer fist going back, an important element of a hammer fist. Look at what I'm projecting, okay? It's not like that. It's like that. Can you see the wrist? See the difference? This is the best way to show you. When you do a hammer fist, you do not want your fist in line with that, like so. Okay? You want it that way. It's almost like as if you're doing this, but not quite. You just a little bit of a twist. This is so that you're exposing the pisiform bone, this little knobbly area here. We're never hitting up here with the knuckle. That you'll break your own hand if you hit there. I mean, some people have got super tough hands and they can kind of get away with anything, but you don't want to assume that. And unless you're one of those people, then definitely don't. So you want to be hitting down here with the base. But the problem is, you might aim for that, but then miss, and then still hit up here. And see, look at the wrist. There's no give. You'll break your own wrist there. If something hits there, it just jars back. Whereas if you turn your wrist slightly out, so if I aim straight at the camera, that would be incorrect. As in, that's your nose. Your nose is the camera. That would be incorrect. What I want to do is that. See how it's a little bit turned out? That's your hammer fist. Well, it doesn't matter whether you're going this way or this way. It doesn't matter which angle it is, but it's always slightly turned out. Because that way, if it does hit up the top, it's kind of got this give. It'll bend back that way, and the wrist is stronger in that position. But if you hit something dead straight like that, and you do miss, it'll be fine if you do hit it correctly. But if you happen to miss, you'll break your own wrist. So a slight turnout. So if you take that principle and just aim it sideways out towards that corner, you'll be all good. The final technique, of course, is quite simple. You simply come from there, open your hands, open palms, nothing special there. Bah! Just expressing both the hands forwards. Okay, so now that you've got that, you're armed with those new details, let's do it again. I'm going to mirror you again, so I'm going to put my right leg, you put your left leg forward. It's quite a common thing in Qigong, where if the technique would indicate something like that, like a little shuffling forward, then in the Qigong, because we don't have the ability to step because we're moving so slowly. You see, if I came forward here, I'd have to move, so I have to sit back in order to step slowly. To keep it all slow, if I went 1, 2, I can't step slowly because my weight's on it. So from a martial point of view, you see, your weight's still forward and you just release it into that follow-up technique. So we mimic the forward intention by sitting back. If I take a step forward, watch what happens. See that? See how when my foot lands, there's that little tiny sort of settle in the back leg. So it's like, just there, and then go. And then go. That little settle back, you simply extend that settle back. So you get a forward, then you get a little So you're just getting a little more weight shift happening to make up for the fact that you're not stepping. So you still get that sensation of always moving forward with each strike. Okay? Let's try it again. Sitting back, breathing in, elbows out. Hands going slightly yin, not a lot, just a little bit on the yin side of life, so that they can then flex. Breathing out into that technique. Again, this first technique is called snake hands, by the way. It's technique number 1, but they all have names. This is called snake hands, and it is a heart Qigong. Now, I'm sure you can see there's a whole lot more going on here than I have verbally talked about. Let's switch sides, other leg forward. See what the body's doing. This in here. I'm mimicking the pressures and the connectivity, the activation of the application, even though I'm moving slowly. Rather than just going like this, for example, it's nothing happening in here. You see? Now look. All of this stuff is what we'll be going into next week. So focus on just getting the mechanics right. Get it so you're not having to think, where do I put my hands, that kind of stuff. So next week, we'll be able to go into these little compressions through the body and how that affects your breath when you breathe, because we're going to be doing reverse breathing with these. That's how we bring, that's probably the primary factor on bringing out yang versus yin, is doing a reverse breath. In the Chi developments, we'll be doing natural breathing. I'm not going to teach that now because we're done with class, but I want you to focus. Tonight's class, as I said, is the basics, the foundations, so it's the physical elements. Hopefully though, even though I haven't spoken yet about how these other elements work, I've been doing them the whole time. So hopefully you're at least a little bit, your body's naturally picking up on that and maybe getting some of that to happen. One last thing I'll leave you with, this is an element of the Qigong as well, is your gaze. Let's just try it a couple more times with this in mind. See that gaze? Okay. Straight through. Not only are you looking forward, but I want you to look like as if you're looking through your opponent, not at them, okay? Not focusing on where they are. But the most important basic thing for beginners is that most people will look down a little bit. This was something I went over in great detail because people kept doing it at the workshop I did when I was teaching these last. Everyone tends to look down. You're probably less likely to look down because you're training by yourself. Top tip, try and have your screen at head height, because if you're looking down at a laptop or a phone or something, you're naturally looking down. It's training your whole structure to be looking down. So if you can, just get some books or something, chuck them under your laptop, bring your laptop up. So when you're looking at me, following along, you're already training into your body that correct. See, that's what will bring out that fire in your eyes. As soon as you go like this, this is saying, oh, please don't hurt me, sir. I don't want to fight. This is saying, I don't want to fight you. but I will if I have to. You see? So you want to be balanced in the middle. People don't like attacking balanced people. People always attack when you're too overly yang, okay? So it's like, come on, let's fight kind of attitude. So they think, oh yeah, come on, let's have a fight. You rouse them up by doing that. But equally, if you're weak and scared, they see you as prey. They want to pick on you. So those two opposite poles, being too yang or too yin, you'll get picked on. You'll get into fights. When you're balanced in the middle, all the people I know who have been in fights, they're either one of those two things. All the really balanced people that I know, I mean, it can still happen. I'm not saying it will never happen to you, but it's far less likely to happen. So this is what we want to get. In these Qigongs, we're focusing on that yang, then we balance that out with Thursday's class, where we're going to do the super, super soft. Calm and gentle. And then between those two Qigongs, you can just be in the middle. So confrontation happens, you're chilled, you're in the middle. And that's how I've dealt with every single self-defense situation that I've been in so far in my life, where someone's come up to me, you fucking grabbing the shirt and fist clenched like this. And I just stand there. Even if he's grabbing hold of me or something like this, I'll just be standing there like, yep, you okay? And they just yell and scream for a while, and then sort of like they have this confused look in their face, and they just kind of walk away. So that's how it's always happened. But if I'd gone, oh, please don't hurt me, they probably would have done something more. Or if I'd gone, get out of my face, or something like this, again, they would have done something more. But I just stayed neutral. And it's so far managed to get me out of every situation without throwing a punch. All right, that's all we've got time for today, guys. That is lesson 1 complete. So like I said, next week we'll be focusing on, since we've got the groundwork, we will be focusing back on the breathing and the little bit more detail on the intricate. Where's my face? My face is not there. On the intricate, there I am, body mechanics of the form. Did anything not make sense? Did anyone have any questions to help you out with that? All good, all good. Makes sense. Good, good. I must be explaining things well. Excellent.
So when you hit with the initial strike.
Who's talking? Oh, there he is. There's so many people, Emma. Yes,
So
hit with the initial strike.
Is it like a ridge hand, or is it like you're hitting them like with your other part of your hand?
You're hitting with the normal, like a normal punch, normal punching knuckles. More commonly, you'd be using the top 2 knuckles in this case, right there.
Okay.
And along with that curve, it's going to be, it's essentially just a normal punch. There's a tiny little bit of an element of doing that as you clunk in there, because it kind of just, if I exaggerate, it's with that, with the circle of the arm, the wrist also kind of, if I show you this way so you can see it, it kind of goes a little bit like that, just that way. But I'm grossly exaggerating that. It should be barely noticeable, but there is just that little bit of tilting that way. It just helps to, again, create that circle, and it sort of pushes those knuckles on contact up into those points. But you are hitting like a normal straight punch with the front portion of those knuckles.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So, from the fighting point of view,
Mm-hmm.
so when I was told that technique, I was told the knuckle should be standing out.
Mm-hmm.
So, shall I carry on doing it, or would be best or better for me just say in a real situation if I just use my fist?
Okay, so from an actual, from a doing the form point of view, whatever makes it feel a bit more, ooh, that's nice, is
that's
what you
nice.
do. From a self-defense point of view, my guess would be you can't throw a one-knuckled punch. In which case, I know you can throw a good, solid, normal punch. I've felt your punches. I haven't specifically asked you to throw a one knuckle punch at me and feel what they feel like, but a one knuckle punch is extremely difficult to get the right angle, the connection, the timing, the precision, A, to put the power in, and B, not to hurt your own hand. It's quite an advanced technique. So from a point of you want to learn how to protect yourself, I'd say just go with the simple old normal punch.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Eli. I
Yes.
just wanted to check. This class is going to be every week at 8 p.m. your time,
Yes.
and the other class is going to be at 8 p.m. on Thursdays.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, great first class, guys. Thank you all for joining me. It was great to see so many faces for the first class. Always good to have I always get a little bit more, especially for the Yang class, because seeing you all there, it builds my own energy up a little bit. Rather than, sometimes I'll do a class and occasionally there'll be no people live and everyone's busy or whatever for that day. And it's like, oh, what? It's my own energy just I've got to like build it up myself kind of thing. But having you all here, it really just fires me up that little bit more. So that's really cool. Oh,
Hey, Eli,
yeah.
somebody's got questions down at the bottom.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Cheers.
Will we cover traditional exact points? I know things need to be fluid, but with points. The traditional ones for Dim Mak. Will we cover the definitive points? There's no such thing as a definitive point. There are, if you look at the book, yes, this technique goes to that point. That's not the definitive point. It is when you're writing a book, you don't want to fill up every technique. The book would be this thick, you see? So you couldn't say, oh, well, you could be this, or it could be that, or it could be this. You keep it simple. You just say, okay, this technique is a punch to GV26, I think he says in the classical book of this technique. The follow-up one, I can't remember which one I think he does it as a stomach 9, and then the follow-up one he either does as a stomach 9 or a double body shot. But point being, there's no such thing as a traditional set Dim Mak point, because it will never happen like that in a real fight. Because as soon as they throw that punch, his head might be here or here. And whether his head is here or here will dictate where you're punching to. In any self-defense situation, this doesn't just refer to Dim Mak, but any technique, whether it be a throw or a wrist lock or a punch or a kick, doesn't matter what it is, you never force it. You do the technique that fits based on what the other person did to you. So they move in that way, it means you're going to do that. When they move that way, it means you're going to do that. If they're ready for a certain, if their balance goes to a certain way, they might be bracing against a certain technique. It's like you'll get, in any martial art class, you'll have beginners and they've just learnt one technique. The first class, they've learnt a technique. The other person has learnt the defense to that technique. So it's virtually impossible for that person to actually do it, like when you start resisting each other and actually putting up a fight, because you know what I'm going to do and you know exactly how to defend against it. When I'm trying to do that throw, I can feel you resisting it. Well, then I pull you back the other way and do something different. So there's kind of no such thing really as the definitive, this technique should go to that point, because it will always vary on the height and the size and the positioning of the body.
The classical saying, change, change, change.
Yeah.
There's another question.
So the only one I missed was the hammer fist. Yeah, so the hammer fist, I was a little bit more vague on that one because it is a hammer fist. It's such a powerful weapon, you don't need a Dim Mak point. If I was going to give a Dim Mak point for that one, because I've just whacked you across there, it's probably 9 times out of 10 going to be a stomach 9. Because when you hit me there, it's going to push me back this way, and you're coming in at that angle. 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be around about stomach 9. If I happen to be a bit more turned this way, you probably get something more like stomach 10 on the side of the neck. You could potentially put it behind the neck, again, if they were more turned, or if they were a bit more turned this way, straight into the pit of the neck. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the stomach 9 one. So, yeah. All right, well, I'm going to go and put the girls to sleep and go to bed myself. So thank you.
Okay, thank you,
for joining
Eli.
me. And I will
Thank you
hopefully
very
see you. I'll either see you in
you.
classes tomorrow and or Thursday night for the Chi developments, and then back here next week for the follow-up. So thanks for joining, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.
Thank you, Eli.
You.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.